got some. Alright viewers, here we go again. If you hear a sound like a dryer, the dryer might come on, because I'm at my mum's house and the dryer is always on. Like I said in the last video, this journey is broken up in my head, or can be broken up into 3 chapters. Chapter 1 being, as ever, the ridiculous and classically unprepared beginning. Getting used to the packing up, the palaver of it all. The company of Connor, my best little weird mate. Say hello, Connor. And Christmas. Yeah, just so we get the same hands. And like every journey I've done, the beginning of every trip I've ever done, I go through this adjustment period. I'm adjusting to the new life, I'm adjusting to being on a paddleboard and on a river. And also it's me wrestling with the doubt of the miles to come, and the doubt for the journey, and doubt within myself. The same in every trip I've ever done. Chapter 2, or at least the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of a new chapter, chapter 2, was kind of leaving. Is that it? Doesn't feel like it. You gonna be alright?
Yeah, are you gonna be alright?
We're fine. Don't worry about it, alright?
Right, I'll see you soon.
We're fine. And me being flicked into that solitary life on the river. It's gonna be weird. I feel very alone all of a sudden out on the river. I feel like a little sparrow on a stick floating down there. But in these weeks, as the miles totted up, the river was becoming my home. I spent all day on a paddleboard, out in the river, out in the baking sun. I slept under the trees every night. I paddled from hearing those beautiful squawks of the galahs in the morning, paddled all day. Once it started squawking in the evening, it was the end of that day, and I did it day after day after day. And that was becoming normal. And I need a poo. Now, as you know, on these trips I am treated like a king on the road. The kindest people you seem to meet are strangers on the road. Down the River Murray was no exception. I often say that I paddled for 4 months down the Murray River to the sea, 1,000 miles. I could have paddled that 1,000 miles in 3 months if I hadn't got on the drink the old way. Genuinely true. Henry the legend, he demanded I stop for a beer. I stayed for 3 days. Ronnie the Rocket and the family.
I've made a whole heap of vegetables and I've got some German sausages.
Terry and Marilyn, I stopped for a cup of tea and stayed for a week.
Very special occasion. To Bobby Laura.
What's your plane called? Not got a name?
Sweetheart.
Sweetheart. That's classic Terry right there. That'd be Marilyn. I slept on people's houseboats, I got on speedboats with students, I got in hot tubs with hot mums. Seriously. Okay. We've been adopted again. Say hello.
Hey, cheers!
What are we having?
We're having, it's a Dutch meal.
Oh, that's a snort. Janine, just say that for you. This is your slogan.
Frig me swinging. He's flogging a dead horse there.
His wife at the time, it was the most boring fucking holiday that I've ever had in my whole life, and I was ready to leave. We had sex in every room in their fucking house.
Too much information.
Well, maybe not in every room.
That's a great holiday.
Are you kidding me? Did you say? Bring me swinging all right.
Have you had that on?
Grateful, forever grateful to all of them. I'm sorry you didn't make it into the video, but as you know, I lost all the footage. I had a pillow last night. Fantastic things. So my time was split between time with strangers and cold beers and barbecues, and then being alone on the river in the wild. Enough miles were behind me now to prove that the journey could work, to prove myself, and I dined out and lived it up as if I deserved it. And I was happy with that life. And then I reached Renmark. See, I always told myself that if I reached South Australia, then I would continue on to the sea. And I said that thinking I would never reach South Australia. A paddleboard was too slow and Australia was too big. I'd made it through the remote section. A wild and slightly reckless detour down Frenchman's Creek was a classic journeyman's tale. But I made it to South Australia, to Renmark, and I moved into the pub there and lived up the miles I'd conquered. I felt like I'd achieved what I was looking for. I felt like I'd experienced everything the river could give me. I knew I could do it now. What's the point? And what does it matter if you've paddled 1,000 kilometres if you've still got 700 more to paddle? You see, time is reliable. Pretty much the only reliable thing. Time will pass. It just depends how you use it. And that is when the real battle commenced. A battle in my brain of why carry on. So I'd hidden Baz, the board, behind some bins whilst I hid in a hotel room for 4 days and got fat. I'd half hoped that he'd been nicked, and then I'd have an excuse to not carry on paddling. But no, Baz was there, and I dragged him down to the river and continued the paddle to do something seemingly endless, seemingly pointless at this point, when the only thing that will help is the very thing that I least wanted to do. That was to push on, to paddle, or to quit. See, something I wanted to be over so badly, dragging myself to this distant finish line that mocked me, and the wind not just halting any progress, but actually pushing me back, pulling me back like a magnet to where I'd started. I really lost my marbles. I can't tell you how long it's taken to get to... Oh my god! It's just... Every kilometre is incredibly boring now. Stroke, 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 pain in shoulder, stroke, switcheroo, stroke, pain in elbow, stroke, pain in elbow, stroke, pain in elbow, switcheroo, stroke, I'm going to have a stroke. Let this end! Let me end this now! Please, stroke, switcheroo, stroke. Ah! I want some friends. This is the most bored I've ever been in my life. I'm like angrily bored. I'm bangry. Even the trees look bored. Look at them. You boring bastard. I would creep around the bend of a river and see that the other bend would take me an hour or two, or maybe even 3 hours of battling through the wind to get to that next bend, and the next bend, and the next bend, and so on, until one day I could finally be relieved of this ridiculous self-posed journey. One day I actually cried because of the wind, which isn't going to help, by the way.
I just can't do it. I'm trying to get to this next town. I'm trying to think of nothing more in this next town. But I don't think this wind's ever going to stop. The frustration of wanting to finish this trip and something physically just stopping it. Not even stopping me, sending me backwards. I've never had to deal with that on a trip before. I just want this to be over.
And at that point I did quit in a lot of ways. It's just I didn't have a choice but to paddle on. I couldn't climb up the banks of the river, I couldn't carry on my stuff, but I would have done if I could have.
Oh! I cannot. Oh, I can't do it. Like, I couldn't care less if I get off this board right now and just let it float. Look at the state, look at the state. How is this river going? Everyone always says to me, oh, at least you're going downstream. F*** off. I don't think I am. I can't even. Please, just give us a chance. I just don't really know what to do.
I truly was broken by the river. I was digging within myself to find a reason to carry on, and I just couldn't find it. And I was trying to think back to what it was that something had changed on the river, something had changed within me mentally. And I kind of thought it was just random or insanity, gone a bit mental on account of paddling, and some endorphins had rushed my mind just to keep me sane, or to keep me going. Then I realised that I found this map in one of my bags. This isn't the original, that got all wet and curly. But I bought another, and it's full of little stories of each bend of the river, stories of other people's journeys. And I started to read about the Aborigines that had lived on this river for tens of thousands of years. And something that I'd noticed but not really paid much attention to was, in the gum trees down the river, you would, every now and then you'd see this shape of a paddleboard cut out of the gum trees. That was something that the Aborigines used, and whilst I was lonely on the river and the only one doing it, I realised that I wasn't the only one to do these big journeys, to paddle down the river and to struggle from time to time. And in fact, in the grand scheme of things, my struggle was not really a struggle. The trip had earned it, the people of the Murray had earned it. I accepted that I was going to finish this journey, and as long as it would take, I would paddle into the wind and get to that sea. Maybe I did go a little bit mental too, but for some reason, I was very happy.
And I wanna know, said I wanna know right now, and I wanna know, said I wanna know right now, yeah, and I wanna know, said I wanna know, yeah.
Even if I didn't have a biscuit or a tea bag, I was happy. Like, whatever happened in my day, I would be alright. And even if something bad would happen, I would take something good from it.
I miss jackets. I know jackets. Yes. A sidetrack from jackets. I paddle the Murray alone. Paddle the Murray all on my own. Paddle the Murray alone. Paddle the Murray all on my own. I'm really, really bored. My arms are really sore. I paddle the Murray alone. I paddle the Murray all on my own. My name is Bob. I've got a small trees over there. This is water, pretty wet to the touch. Clouds, flies knocking about. Bird there. What's that? Good at flying them birds. One thing I've noticed. Yeah, that's river. More river over there. Yeah. I paddle the Murray alone, all on my own.
See, at the end of the river was the ocean, but not quite. That's something I've been warned about before I even... Patsy! Shut up! She thinks there's someone at the door, there's not. She's gone mad. Come here, Pats. Now, at the end of the river was Lake Alexandrina, a huge, massive, dangerous lake that I've been warned about even before I began the journey. Now, for one, I thought I'd cross that massive, scary lake when I get to the lake, but that's after 1,000 miles of paddling. I ain't never gonna get there. Oh, come on, Dado. However, I did, and it was time to try and cross Lake Alexandrina. There's only once in my life that I consider I've gambled with it. When I've taken a risk, when it was all out of my control, thrown my life out into uncertainty and praying for the best. And I swore I'd never do it again. Crossing Lake Alexandrina was a risk. I've been warned countless times. I can't cross it, they'd say. I'll never reach it, I'd say. A week before I arrived on its banks, a kayaker had drowned. They found his body 6 days later, somewhere in the reeds. 70 kilometres across to the other side, and the end. So close yet so very far.